All right, we're live. Hi, guys. I'm Ashley. I am your Shareist host for today, and we are just starting the walkthrough of Shareist for the people who are in book goodies and who attended Author Marketing Live. I'm going to show you today how a couple friends of ours who are authors use Shareist. And I'm going to share my screen with you and just show you how we've set it up for them so that they could use it. I typically, when I'm doing one of these walkthroughs, sit in a more professional location, but my internet is not working through my house today, so I'm sitting in front of my kids' bookshelf, which I thought was quite apropos for an author walkthrough. So I'm going to go ahead and turn things around and share my screen with you. This always feels really weird to me that I think you guys can all hear me and I can't hear any of you. So if you have any questions, you can write them in the group chat and someone will be on here answering them. I think that a majority of the people who wanted to see this are planning on watching the recording later. So we'll get started with the screen share. And then you can see the infinite me. So I'm going to put that down and show you what we've done with Sean Platt and Johnny B. Truant with their Shareist account. Some of you may know them. They're extraordinarily famous authors. I'm saying that for their benefit. Very famous authors that also own the self-publishing podcast. They've written about 1,000,005 books together, and they have different authors that they write as and different groups that they work with. So when they first started with Shareist, we walked through and went through all of their projects that they're working on and showed them how they could set up their Shareist dashboard. So when you first join Shareist, you'll see right here, none of these gray boxes will be here. You'll just see right here, create a project. And a lot of times people have a hard time understanding what projects should be, especially in the case with people like Sean and Johnny who have hundreds of books out and they have different author names they write under, and then they have separate groups where they write with different writers. So they had a lot of choices to make when they were setting up their projects. So we walked through with them and worked with them to set up their projects. Collective Inkwell is one of the groups they write with. They have 2 authors in that one. Guy Incognito is one of the pseudonyms they use. This is a children's author. Lexi Maxwell is a lady is a girl that they write with. They co-author with her, so they needed a place to keep notes for her stuff and for helping her share it to her social media. They set up LOL. I'm not sure exactly what that one is. Roman Sands is their newest company that they're, sorry, that's not true. Sterling and Stone is their newest company they're writing under. But these are each different projects. I'm not sure exactly what Smarter Artist is. If I were going to add something in here, I would also add the self-publishing podcast so they could connect to that social media. And then they may, if they have, if any of you know them, they just recently did a Fiction Unboxed project, and I would put that in there. And if they had a book that they were working on that they were really pushing for, I would probably set up an individual project for that one book. Now, I wouldn't do that for each book just because you aren't going to start a new Facebook page and a new Twitter page and all of that for each individual book you do. But if there's one that you're really doing a big push for, I may put notes for that in that project. So you can kind of get an idea. These projects can be ideas where you're collecting information for them. They can be a blog that you have. They can be a group. So they can be anything that you have. So if you run, I know that Deb and Vinny manage Book Goodies, a Facebook group. They may want to have one of those as a project, which is separate from their author pages. And the first thing you do, we're going to work today on their Sterling and Stone project. And the first thing you do when you set up a new project is just move through these steps right here. So over on the side, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And first thing they would do is go in and connect their accounts. Now, this makes it very nice because this allows you to give collaborators access to some of your Facebook pages, but not all of them, and it allows you to keep your Facebook pages and groups connected to just the project that you want to post to. from. So if you want to keep your author Facebook groups separate from your marketing Facebook groups, for example, then you could do that in here. So you can see the options you have to connect if you have a Tumblr, Blogger blog. I typically add my WordPress blog. I have a few of those, so I would add those in here and connect to those. I know that Sean and Johnny use WordPress almost exclusively. I can add all my Twitter accounts in here. So if I am managing 50 different Twitter accounts, they can all be in here and individually connected to individual projects. We have buffer in here because we don't have access to Google Plus's API. So by connecting Buffer, you can post directly to your Google Plus page. And then again, Facebook, all of your individual page, all of your business pages, and all the groups you're in can be connected. We connect with Constant Contact, GetResponse, and MailChimp. I know that Johnny and Sean use Aweber, so I'm going to show you how they can post to their Aweber account even though it's not connected. You can connect your Instagram account so that you can pull photos directly from here to share to all of your social media platforms, to your blog, and to all of that. And any of these services that you already use, if you use Kipt or Pinboard or Pocket to collect, or Scoop It to collect the articles that you're interested in, then you can add those as a stream so that you can just really easily publish those articles onto your blog as a curated post, or you can share them out to your social. We connect with Google Analytics, so if you have goals set up in Google Analytics, then you can add those here. So that's a lot of information that takes a few minutes to walk through, but we always emphasize if you get this set up correctly the first time you do it, then it makes your life so much easier later. So once those are connected, the second step would be to go in and set up your research. This is my favorite part because it just gives me an opportunity to put all of the places I want information from into my RSS feeds, and then I'm going to get back content recommendations. So when you click this, and you know what, I'm going to go back to the dashboard for a second just to review how I got to where I am. So I'm inside the Sterling and Stone project, and I'm clicking number 2, or later I can just click the research box. So as you see me do this walkthrough, you're going to see me move right across this blue bar up here and use all those elements. So the first one I'm clicking is the research. And then everything in Shareist I think of is set up, I think of it as linear, because then I walk right across this line to do the same thing. So I'm going to start by setting up my RSS feeds and clicking Manage Sources. This is the only time this will look like this. So we're going to go in and add sources. This is going to serve just like Google Reader would. It's just an RSS feed reader, but you have a lot of options of types of things you can put in here. So if you have your own blog, you could add it here. Or if there's somebody who you really admire and you think that you're going to want to repost stuff from their blog or share it with your audience, then you can add it here. You can add your own Facebook page, which I don't tend to do, but I add other people's Facebook page. So if there's an author who posts really amazing things, if they post amazing quotes or excerpts of their book or any advice that I might want to share with my audience, then I would add their Facebook page so it's showing up in that RSS feed. You can kind of read through here. So I'm just going to show you again how I would set this up for Sean and Johnny. So I've pulled up their main blog, and this is their Sterling and Stone site. So what I would do first is go to their blog and add it as a resource so that it's pulling in all of their accounts. I'll show you in a minute how, but that's going to make it really easy to just share everything with their social media, different social media platforms. So I would add that as a source first thing. Before I got on this call, I went through a couple of their blog posts just to find people who they admire as authors. And one of the first ones I found is that they had this interview with Michael Goldberg. Now, when you're setting this up for yourself, this is going to be completely different just because you already know who your influencers are. You already know whose stuff you tend to share, so you're not going to have to go through and dig it out. But if you're ever managing something for somebody else, then you may have to do this for them. So I pulled up this guy's blog, and we're going to add that as a source so that all of his items are coming into our stream as well. And you'll see that those are going to start pulling, it'll start pulling the last 30 days of data, and you'll see that in our stream when we click back over to the RSS feeds. I pulled up the Scrivener blog because I know that that's a product that they use a lot, and so I thought maybe they would like to share with their users, particularly on the self-publishing podcast, if there's any updates to Scrivener. So I thought we could add the Scrivener blog to their sources. And then I thought that they might want the actual blog from self-publishing podcast. So we're going to put that in there. Again, going back to this, there's so many different things we could use. I know that, and I've actually seen Deb posting about this in the Book Goodies group, that you should keep an eye on mentions of your name as an author. So if you have a pseudonym, or if you have titles that you might want to keep a Google alert going about. Sorry, I switched that too early. I got a little thrown there because I tried to repeat pseudonym twice. I'm trying to use all these big author words, and guys, I am just not an author yet. I will be, but I get tripped up a little bit on that, so stay patient with me. So I did that last one that I tried to add, didn't add because I switched it too quickly. So let's add that one again. I believe it was this one. And we'll give that a second to add. While that's loading, I'll just show you. I pulled up Johnny's YouTube channel so that we could add that as well, just because that would make it really easy to share to all of his social media and his blog from one spot. And so I'll add that as well. This one's taking a second, so I might just go ahead and skip that one. And I will add the exact match. So this is going to serve just like a Google alert. So I'm going to go ahead and put both of their names in there. So whenever there's something about them as a Google alert, then that's going to come up there. And this is where I might want to add any of their pseudonyms, like I Incognito. I could do the same with the Google blog search, and you have the option to do the Boolean search as well. So here I'm going to add their YouTube channel. And you can see how, again, this setup takes a little bit of time. I think I take the URL out there. You can see how this setup takes a little bit of time, but it's absolutely worth it in the long run because it just makes it so easy to add all these things to your blog and then to your social media. So hopefully that'll pull up. Okay, so now when I go click on RSS feeds, you're going to see the last 30 days of all of those sources. And again, I would probably add more in from other authors they like or other influencers that they have that they'd want to share. But for right now, this is mostly their own content. So this makes it really easy then to just glance through, see the most recent things they've done, and you'll see how I use that to easily put together curated posts and share to social media. Once I share and save these, I have the option just to send them directly to social media, or I can save them into my inbox, which I'll show you in just a second. The next the next item that we would go over to, once you've added a certain number of things to your inbox, so I would begin adding things like their podcast and some of their articles. I am going to go ahead, I noticed one of theirs that I wanted to go ahead and add right away. So we're going to come back to their blog. And they had one where they, oh, I like this one, how we use Scrivener for beats. So we'll find that over here. Okay, I gotta take a deep breath. I'm tripping up over this for a minute. This is one of the ones from the other guy's blog, so I'm going to go ahead and share that into their inbox. What I'm doing right now is I'm trying to find items to share, to put into their inbox. Because this is during setup, I'm trying to find items to put into their inbox that will reflect the kind of content that they typically want to share with their audience. I'm doing this because once I've added 3 things to their inbox, then the content recommendations is going to kick in. And we collaborate with a company called Sway, and Sway is going to provide content that's relevant and trending in social media for us. But it doesn't kick in, it doesn't start finding relevant things until I've added 2 or 3 things into the inbox. So I'm going to find a couple things that I feel like will be good. And I'm not seeing this in here quickly enough. I want to show you one other way you can add things to your inbox while we're here. So this is a good time to do that. So I have the the Chrome app up here that will allow me to just add things right to my inbox from here. So you're going to see this pull up my inbox. Down here I have all my projects, so I can choose which project to put it into. I'm going to add this to the Sterling and Stone project. And it's grabbing all of the meta content from the page, all the images there, the description that they've put on there, the title. I can choose, when I'm adding these things to my inbox, I can choose, oh, we definitely need to use a big picture of Sean, don't we? But I can choose which picture I'm using. I can add my own picture. I can get a screenshot if it's not pulling up a good picture, upload something from my computer, or I could do no image. You'll see later when we're sharing onto social media how that impacts our share. But right now, I'm just saving things to my inbox so I can get that content recommendation. There's one other one I want to save into the inbox because I'm going to pull quotes from it later. And it was just a couple posts down. And it was talking about where they get their ideas from. This is a really great blog post if you're interested in reading it. But I'm going to save this one to the inbox as well. With this Chrome app, we call it our bookmarklet, and with this bookmarklet, I could go ahead and share to all of social media right now. Like I mentioned, I'm using an account of theirs that's not connected to social media so that I don't accidentally post something ridiculous to their social media, though it appears that they do anyway. But I didn't want to unintentionally post to their social media during a walkthrough, which I often do on my own social media. So I'm going to add that back to the Sterling and Stone inbox. And now that those items are added, I'm going to skip over, which I wouldn't do, but I am because it's set up. I'm going to skip over just to show you where they are in your inbox. So when they're in the Research tab, they have not yet been dumped into your idea box. I think of the inbox as a big idea bucket where you just pour everything in that's related to that project. So you're saving articles, you can save pictures here, you can save a little bit of text, and it just means you're going to do something with it later. You're either going to add it to a curated blog post or you're going to share it to social media. So just think of this as a big idea dump. And initially those things are coming from our Research tab and from the bookmarklet. There's one further way you can dump things in here, and I'm just going to use it to show you all the different types of things that can go in here. So there's this capture button up here inside Shareist, and you can see that if I have an idea, I could just put it as text in here. If I had a really great image that I wanted to use later from my computer or from another URL, I could put it in here. And you'll see it will accept things from computer, other URLs, and it gives you the ability then to credit where you're getting it from, and then you can make some alterations to your own photos there too. If you have a video, any of these things you can dump in that idea inbox so that the people you're collaborating with can see it and you can come back to it later. So I'm going to, did my brilliant idea save? I'm going to save that to my inbox. So going back to that Research tab to look for things that we want to save to the inbox, I'm going to go to Content Recommendations. And now that I've added a few things, then this content, oh, it's pulling up Bob Dylan because I added that Bob Dylan article, but this will reflect more and more, the more items you add to your inbox, this will more and more reflect popular, relevant content to what you're sharing. So if you have a day where you think, I just don't know what to share with my audience today, but I need something interesting, then this is the place you can come in and find those ideas and save them to your inbox. So I'm going to go back to the main research tab, and I'm going to show you just a couple other options you have to share here. Prosperant product searches, if you're ever interested in doing affiliate marketing where you're earning revenue from products, then you can go search for those products in this tab. And Bing image search I use frequently because in order to raise engagement on my Facebook page, it helps a lot to put quotes. So I may do something like inspirational writing quotes. Now, I really wish that both Sean and Johnny were on this call because they would absolutely never put something like this on their page, but I do think it'd be funny to find something flowery and post it to their page because it's just so not in their personality. But this is something that really raises that engagement. It seems kind of like a cheesy strategy, but people react really well to these quotes. They like them a lot and they share them and comment on them, and this is helpful because Facebook will use that to determine, the Facebook EdgeRank algorithm will use that to determine if you're interesting or not. So the more people are sharing and liking your items, the more often they're going to show your other items, your really valuable items, on your newsfeed. So this is just a helpful strategy. So I come in and do this a lot. I will schedule these out to share onto my Facebook page. Just to create that engagement. I'm gonna save this one to their inbox. So if I hit the save button here, it's just gonna go into that idea dump, or I can click on the advanced share right here. This is gonna look a little goofy because it's not connected to any social media, but if I did choose to do that advanced share right there, then anything I had connected would light up right here. I'd see the colors, and when I clicked on Facebook, I would have all the items that I connected to this project here. So I would have my personal account if I had connected it. I would have all of my business pages, and then I would have, I might have 30 groups there that I've connected to if I want them showing in this project. So I could just go ahead and share right there by putting in my comment, by choosing when to share, and then by posting it. And I'm going to go through that in a little more detail as I move across here. So this is exactly how I would set up that research tab for them. Begin adding things into the inbox, put all their sources in, so that's moving through that research. So we've covered initially on their whole dashboard how you would set up projects as an author, how you would have these done, and then in each individual project, how you would set up your social media in there and your research tabs. So moving over to the inbox, throughout the week I've collected a whole bunch of things that I want to share to my social media. I may have done it using the capture button, I may have done it using the bookmarklet, but my social media will end up, or my inbox will end up full of items that I want to either use as a blog post or post to my social media. I can come over here and I can, so in a typical inbox, this only has 5 things, but in a typical inbox of mine, I will have hundreds and hundreds of things. So I can sort through them in a variety of ways. You can see I can sort out by things I've already shared, so I make sure I don't double share things. I often come in here and look for things that are not shared and not scheduled so that I know what I still need to schedule out and haven't shared with my audience. I can look for things that aren't in pages already, and then if I'm tagging each of these, I might tag this one with I almost said cheesy quote. That probably wouldn't be the nicest thing to say, but I might tag this with quote. So then I could go back and sort by quotes. I might tag this one as blog post, so I know that it came from my own blog. There's a variety of ways I could tag things so I can sort them later, and you'll see why that becomes important later. Here's one more way to capture. I can capture from right here. So once I have these all in here, these are things that I have not already shared and I have not already scheduled out. I can just come up here and I can either make a whole blog page out of them, and I'll show you how that looks, or I can do the quick share. This isn't going to work right now because I don't have them set up, so it will say you've chosen no defaults, but what I'm able to do is just click this button, And if I had my default social media set up already, if I had my social media connected, then these would just go out in the next slots I had. So that's similar to Buffer. If you've used Buffer before, you can choose the times. Maybe I've decided to share onto my Facebook page at 8:15 and 2:31, and those will go out at those times. And then I've chosen to share out to my Twitter 5 times during a day, because you can share to Twitter more often. Those will go out at those times on Twitter. So that's a way for me to plan ahead and share everything out to my social media, and just keep those channels active so that I can really focus on creating my content, as opposed to logging into Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and Google Plus every single day to share stuff. So as an author, you probably already know that it's important to keep those social media channels active so that people are remembering you and you're showing up often in their news feeds. So this is just a great way to keep doing that without having to be hands-on every single day. Guys, I'm having a really hard time being serious because this is the picture sitting on my screen and it's making me laugh every time. So I'm going to move over to the social tab. And this, again, this is just another place you can see those social services that you need to connect. You can see items you've scheduled out for the week. If you had some ideas about what you wanted to write but weren't sure about them yet, you could put them in the draft. And if you had, like I know Sean and Johnny do, someone monitoring their social media, he could put all the stuff in there for review, and then Sean and Johnny would be able to go in and hit approve, 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 and let those go out, or they could edit it right there before they sent that out. So those are just some options for collaboration if you have an assistant. This is going to allow you to see what items you've already shared. And then in reports, I'm going to go over to a different account to show you reports. So again, I'm walking across this blue line going into social, and then I'm walking across this line. So just that linear thought again. There's so much inside of Shareist that a lot of times people get confused about where everything is. So if you ever are in Shareist and you can't remember, just walk right across that line again. So those are the places that you would deal with all of the social posts, past, present, and future. The Publish tab talks about pages that are going to go onto your blog that you've connected or that you're going to use as a newsletter. So one of my favorite things about Shareist is that once you've added things into a page, you can use it in a variety of different ways. I've already added something for them. I pulled this from their blog. They had posted the entire first chapter of one of their newest books, and I'm going to show you how they could use Shareist to either send that out as a newsletter or to make it into a PDF. And as an author, you probably know a variety of things you can use PDFs for. So that could be a giveaway on their site that they would exchange for email addresses, or they could send that out to some of their users but not others, or they could go ahead and put that PDF on Facebook so that they were engaging their audience a little bit more. I'm going to go back to the inbox and show you one other way to make a new page before I show you how to do that. So like I mentioned, I could check all of these items. I'm going to leave that brilliant idea and the cheesy quote out of there. But I would do this if I was doing a wrap-up. So I might say, here are our latest posts from the week, and I would check them right here and add them to a page. Or I might say, these are all of the posts that regard using Scrivener. Now that's not actually true here, but maybe I pulled together 5 posts that talked about how to use Scrivener. But I would try and group them together based on some sort of subject and then add them to one page. And this will allow you to see what that page looks like. So I can either add it to an existing page, and that would allow me to add it to either the top or the bottom, or I can make it into a new page. I do, whoops, I hit return there on accident. This will allow me to publish that page directly to my blog. You can either have a Shareist hosted blog or connect your Tumblr, Blogger, WordPress blog. I could just go ahead and directly publish. Or, as I'm going to do, I can go in and edit this page. So this is what the page looks like. The way Shareist is built is that these are all building blocks so that you have the ability to move everything around. You can add in other content right here. You have a lot of options to make it look like you want it to. And then when you post to your own WordPress blog, it's going to take on the look of that WordPress blog. So all of your sidebar will still be there. It'll just use that middle column on WordPress. So maybe I decide I want this article down here. I want the Scrivener one first. I would put a really cool intro paragraph up here. I would go with creative because we're authors, right? Not yet. I could put that in there. I'm going to show you really quickly the picture functionality of Shareist. This is my other absolute favorite part of Shareist because it's so much fun. So I can pull a picture here from another URL. So if I want to use one of the pictures, I saw a great one earlier that I wanted to use from the Robot Proletariat. Then I could grab this picture URL and put that in the article right there. And it's going to allow me to do a lot of different things. If I didn't have a picture that I felt like I could use, I could go into the Creative Commons on Flickr, and this is all images that other people have given me permission to use and alter. I don't typically alter something I've gotten from Flickr, but these are images that people have given permission to use if they are given credit. So Shareist allows for you to give credit right there, and I'll show you how you could do that. But when I'm dealing with one of my own images, especially if it were one from that I had taken before, I'd have the option to put really funny text right here. Now, it might not be really funny, it may be really serious, or it might just be interesting, but I just want to show you how. Let's see, this is from Sterling and Stone. If this is my own picture, I'm going to want to watermark it, so this allows me to do the watermark right here. And you can just see how that allows me to make a meme out of that or to just add text to it. I can also change the font to make it a little bit more serious. And again, I can do that either to go into a blog post, or I can just make one of these images separately for sharing to social media. In the Advanced tab, it allows me to caption the photo, and here's where I can put that credit URL and where it will go on a click. I can give it a description and alternative text for SEO purposes, but I have all those options right there. So I'm going to save that and close it. Now obviously you're seeing a walkthrough in a way that I wouldn't actually post. I would not actually write really funny text on there, but I'm sure you can use your imagination there. Just like I've mentioned before, I'd move right across this line. Once I felt like this post was ready to publish, I'd move right across that line. I might put a really brilliant conclusion down here. I might add some text in here about why I felt like this post was important. And just real quick to show you the other options there, I can add a video either by searching YouTube for a keyword or putting my URL in there. There's so much that I can add in here. I can add somebody's tweet or my own tweet. I can put audio in. I can do a quote, so it will put it in the middle of the page as a quote. One of my favorite things that you may or may not end up using as an author are these shareables. And the cool thing with a shareable is that it takes all the pictures on there and it makes a collage out of them. So I'll show you that real quick, what that would look like if I were doing that. I think that you'd have to get pretty creative in how you would use that as an author. I'm not sure. But you can, oh, it's not pulling these pictures. So if I had 4 different images in there, it would pull all the images and make a little collage for it. The other options are links. You can put a link in there, and you can add a PDF in here. So if you did have that PDF of a first chapter, and this gives you the option to put products from Amazon. So if you are an affiliate for Amazon, you can go ahead and search those products right here in Amazon. So I might want to add my book there, and it's going to put an affiliate link if I have that set up. So going back up to walking across this blue line, once I feel like this post is ready, I'm going to set the settings. This is for SEO purposes. So you can see I can change the new title. If I was posting this to a WordPress page, it would allow me to set all the meta information right there. And I'm going to move across and publish. This is going to show all the blogs that I have set up. So I didn't want to end up posting anything crazy to their blog. So I don't have their WordPress blog in here, but if I did, it would show a list of all the WordPress blogs I had connected or the Shareist blogs I had connected, and I would have the option to change it from private to public and just post right to there. Once that's accomplished, I can move over and share, and all my social media would show up in there. I'll show you that on a different account since this one's not connected. And then I have the option to export it. So this is what I was telling you before, that I could export it to go to Aweber. If you are connected to MailChimp or one of the other newsletter services, then it's going to show up back on your publish page. I have the option to make it into HTML. I use that a lot. If I'm posting something in a forum, I will open it up in HTML. Here's where I can make an actual PDF export. And I'm going to go back to the other page. So remember, I'm clicking this publish page this publish tab to find all of the pages I've worked on. And so I'm going to go into the one that where I actually pulled in their entire first chapter to show you what I would do with that PDF. So again, I would publish that to the blog so it would show up just exactly like this. It would look just like their WordPress blog. In fact, I actually think this one's not on WordPress. This is on the Copyblogger Rainmaker platform. So I publish it to that. I would share it to my social media if I wanted to. If I didn't want it to go out to social media but just wanted it available to a few users, perhaps my newsletter subscribers or users that downloaded it in exchange for an email address, then I would come straight here. This is where I mentioned before we connect to Google Analytics. If you connected your account to Google Analytics, your goals would show up right here. So you would see those you would see a drop down of all your goals. You could connect that to your goals in Google Analytics to see if these items converted. So to see if those resulted in actual revenue for you. So I'm going to show you if they had Aweber newsletter, which I know they do. All they would have to do is come in here, copy and paste all of this. I'm hitting Control-C, and then they'd be able to go open their Aweber account, do a new broadcast, paste that in there, and send it out as a newsletter. And it's going to take on all of the look of their newsletter that they're already doing. Again, they could use that HTML. If they wanted to post that entire first chapter in a forum somewhere, they'd copy and paste that right into there. The PDF comes out looking so beautiful. So I'm going to open that up. Right there, you have a PDF to add wherever you need it. This one, because I copied and pasted it from another blog, didn't take on the formatting that it should have, so I would need to go in there and fix that when I copied and pasted into the original page. So I have all those options. Hopefully you guys know what to use plain text and markdown for, because I need to learn that still. And then what I'm able to do from there is, moving across this top line again, click on my calendar. This isn't going to be super helpful for us in this account because it's not connected to social, so I'm going to show you this in another account that I have opened up over in Safari. So this is our actual Shareist marketing. This is again a little bit different because this is for a business rather than an author, but you can see some of the elements that you aren't able to see in Johnny and Sean's because we have it set up a little bit differently. So you can see all your collaborators over here. You can see all the items that have been added into the inbox. You can see what we're working on, and you can see we get a whole lot of recommended content. So like I mentioned, in our inbox, we have hundreds and hundreds of items. So we're able to, it makes sense a little bit more. You can understand this sorting over here a little bit better. We can, with checked, share those out to our social media really easily. Now, that will actually happen if I click that, so I'm not going to do it. You can see the way we have our social set up. And what I wanted to show you in this specific group is what the calendar will look like then. So there you can see what we've shared, what we've scheduled, all of those items. But you'll be able to see in the calendar what we have scheduled out for the future, what has been shared on items. if we had all of, I'm going to show you our past months, because we haven't been heavy sharers this last month, but you can see different items that we've done. So it just is a really great visual way to see if all your channels are filled up for the next month. So you can see Twitter and you can see Facebook pages, you can see what you're working on in your blog posts. There's a whole lot of different items that you can see there. You can see in campaigns where the Google Analytics are connected. So those are items you can't see in John and Shawnee's account right now because they're not connected, but you can see these here. Excuse me. If you were collaborating with people, so moving back across that blue line, if you were collaborating with people, you'd be able to send messages to each other right here in the messages. And this project tab would enable you to just change all of those settings. You could activate your Shareist website here. You can do a bunch of different things. So I think that covers everything in those blue lines up there. I kind of rushed through the end because we're dealing with an unconnected account. But what I really wanted to focus on today was that initial setup of a project where you are determining the ways you're going to set up your different projects, and then inside a project how you're going to set up those resources and share out and then create pages to things. I want to show you one more thing inside an active account because this is really cool. This allows us to go through, we have a process that we call content marketing in 30 minutes a day. And what we do is we start out on Mondays and we just move through this. In fact, we actually have the slide share right here in our inbox, so I'm going to pull that up for us. So if you go on to SlideShare and you look at Shareist's slides, you'll be able to see this content marketing in 30 minutes a day. And I'm going to run through really, really fast what we do. So we have some really fancy quotes at the beginning about different people that do it for their company. And we follow this process where we do all of our planning, production, distribution, and measuring afterwards. I'm not going to cover all of this, but our weekly activities follow this pattern. We joke that we're really bad at coming up with acronyms, so if you ever have an idea about how we could say this better, then please let us know. So when we're moving through this, once this setup is done really, really well, on a Monday, we'll come in and we'll just log in to that research tab. We'll spend that Monday scrolling down, finding a few items. Because we've already set up all our source, we'll find a few items that we think our audience will be interested in and add those to our inbox. Once we've moved through that whole RSS feed, I'm going to actually do it and glance down here and see if there's anything that I think our audience would be really interested in. Definitely the Everybody Writes book. If you guys have not read this book by Anne Handley, it's incredible and you should read it. This is actually taking a little bit more time than I wanted to, so I'm not going to do that. But I would move down there. I would save anything into my inbox that I thought was a good idea. Then I'd come over to the content recommendations. Again, this is showing me not only relevant items to what I've been adding, but it's also things that are trending. I think my audience would actually be interested in this, so I'm either going to save it into my inbox or I'm going to do the advanced share. And I mentioned before I would show you what that looked like if I was to do the advanced share. So on Monday, I would read content from my sources, capture those ideas to my inbox, and based on my plan, I would curate or fill up my time slots to share out to social media. This is going to allow me, like I mentioned before, it will fill up my 2 shares a day on Facebook and my 5 on Twitter so that those social channels are staying active so I can focus on my writing. On Tuesday, then, I would look over what is trending in the items that I scheduled to share. So if I was sharing a lot about a specific author, or if I was sharing a lot about marketing yourself as an author, I would look for a trend so that I could begin to develop a unique piece of content out of that. So you know, as an author, you're not just writing your book. You need to keep your blog active as well. So I would begin to look for trends so I could begin writing that unique blog post, and I would know that my social media was already taken care of because I had scheduled stuff out on Monday. I would also, during this day, log into social media to see if I had any comments or questions that I needed to address. On Wednesday, I would continue to work on that unique piece of content. So this would be going back to that the Publish tab and just further developing that blog post where I had added things. Then on Thursday, I would complete that unique piece of content. Remember that throughout those days, there's still scheduled stuff going out onto social media. So your social media channels are staying active even though you're not actually logging into them or addressing them at that time, which you may want to do just to make sure that there's no activity that you need to address. Once I completed that piece of content on the Thursday, then I would go ahead and use Shareist to share it out to all of my social media. This is the item I wanted to show you using the Shareist account because we have so much added already. On Friday, I would spend 5 minutes doing a wrap-up post from either my unique content from the previous week or the most clicked on articles. This is one of the absolute coolest functions in Shareist. I'm going to have to dive back over to this. Hopefully you guys can, I assume if you're writers, you're probably all over the place like I am, and so you're going to be able to jump back over here with me. But I'm skipping ahead to Friday. I'm going to go into my social tab. And if you remember, this is where you can see items you've shared, items you're planning on sharing, any draft ideas that you've had, and anything you need to review from your collaborators. I'm going to go ahead and go into reports. This is going to show me how many people liked my items, how many people clicked on them, and I'm going to look at the items from this week that I've shared. Now, we've been traveling a lot this week, so there may not be a lot in there. Yeah, that's true. So I'm going to head back to the previous week so we can see where we've shared a bit more. I have to go all the way back to this month. This tells me I need to be sharing more. And then I can sort these. Now that they're sorted by date, I can sort them by the things that have been most clicked on. So this is a way that I'm going to be able to send out a newsletter and a blog post about the most interesting things or what my audience felt was the most interesting. What I would do is I would connect these top 5, 6, 7 things and say, you know, these were the top most, or what our audience found to be the most interesting. Of course, it's going to be about Kevin Spacey. We got to watch Kevin Spacey as a keynote last week at a conference, so that was very fun. This was right after Author Marketing Live, which was also an amazing conference. So these were our most interesting things. I would also probably add in a couple other things that didn't get as many clicks as I thought should, and I'm going to add those to a page. Now, I know I'm cranking really fast through this, but if you recall, here's where I can select those categories. I call these must-reads. And if you recall, I'm adding this to a page to either go onto our blog, to turn into a PDF, or to send out as a newsletter. I often call this what you missed, and then I will mention something from one of the articles this week in social. So I'm going to add that as a new page. So this is my Friday weekly wrap-up post of my most clicked on articles. I'd use the remaining time that day to respond to questions and comments from my unique piece of content or to increase the reach of that content. So you can see how Shareist makes it really easy to pull in to share your own content to your social media, to keep your social media active with other people's content, and then quickly create a wrap-up for Friday. So I'm going to edit this page and quickly turn it into my newsletter, take it over to, again, I would add in a little bit of the unique content here. And I'm going to add it to my blog. So here's where you see those blogs that have been connected. I'll add it to my blog, and then I'll export it to create it as my Aweber newsletter, so I can send that out to all of my readers. So in that sense, you'll have to use a little bit of your imagination to see how you could use that part of as an author, because I'm showing it with a business. But coming back to this, I didn't click on it correctly before. I was just going to show you that advanced share, but I think we're other than that, completely done. So I'm going to hop back over to the Google Hangout and see if we have any questions that have come up. And if you are watching this as a recording, you can absolutely email me with questions or tweet me, or however you would like to get a hold of me. You can get a hold of us at Shareist on Twitter, or you can comment on the Google Plus page, or in the Book Goodies or Author Marketing Live group. So here's that advanced share button that I was going to show you, and it will just allow me to add it into the next slot. So it's filling in those slots. That's taking a minute to come up, so I'm going to head back over to the Google Plus page. Yeah, I can't see any questions on here, so I'm just hoping that someone else was answering them on there. All right, I'm back on video, I think now. I can see the camera come on. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the Shareist walkthrough. I know I went through a ton of stuff, so if you have questions, please get a hold of me, and we'll be around answering them. Thank you guys so much for joining.